Hello, my name's fl0f, and I'm an Obby Mauler on Oldschool Runescape. Today, I'm going to give you a guide about how to do Nightmare Zone for Obby Maulers, specifically, how to get a Berserker ring imbued for your Obby Mauler. This ring is extremely viable for both PKing and training at rock crabs. Now, a lot of people think that you need 43 prayer or some high defense requirement in order to do Nightmare Zone in an Obby, but I'm going to show you an effective method with very minimal requirements that allow any Mauler build, including those with 1 attack, defense, and prayer, to easily and efficiently get a Berserker ring imbued for their Mauler. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing is getting to Nightmare Zone. What you want to do if you want to get to Nightmare Zone, the easiest way would be to go into your minigames teleport tab and select Nightmare Zone and easily teleport there. However, this can only be done if you have previously visited Nightmare Zone. If you haven't gone to Nightmare Zone before, there are multiple other ways you can get here, including chartering a ship from Port Khazard, teleporting to the monastery via Ardongye Cloak 1, teleporting to your house in Yanile, or teleporting to Castle Wars via Ring of Dueling and running here. So in order to access Nightmare Zone, you need to do 5 specific quests that are on Nightmare Zone's list of quests to do. These can vary a bit depending on what kind of build you are as an Obby Mauler. For example, I'm 1 attack, 1 defense, and 31 prayer, so my options are a little limited as opposed to other builds. So for 1 attack, defense, and prayer Obby Maulers, your options are Family Crest, Lost City, One Small Favor, Shiloh Village, and Witch's House. In my own opinion, these are the best 5 quests that you can do for Nightmare Zone because they give you the most, such as the 2 10k experience slams for One Small Favor and the access to Shiloh Village, not to mention the Family Crest, which will be very important as we discuss later on. Now, if you've completed Priest and Peril, you can also fulfill one of those 5 quests with Haunted Mine. If you're 10, 16, or 20 attack from doing Mountain Daughter or Death Plateau, you can add on Death Plateau and Troll Stronghold if you've completed that after Death Plateau, and if you're an Obby tank, you can also fulfill the 5 quest requirements with What Lies Below. Now, if you're 13 defense, I wouldn't recommend doing this, only because What Lies Below will give you 2k defense experience, that'll push you to about 20 defense if you're 13 defense. However, if you're a 40 defense or higher Obby tank, you can easily do What Lies Below and it won't gain you any additional defense levels after it. So your gear for Nightmare Zone is going to vary a bit depending on your prayer defense levels, but what you want to shoot for is basically just the best mage bonus that you can get. So for example, for 1 defense, you're going to want to shoot for a Gnome or Canifis hat because that gives you +3, that's the best you can get on 1 defense. A God Cape if you can get it if you have 60 plus mage. If you don't have this, then you can just use an Ardongye Cloak 1 that you get from the Ardongye Easy Diaries. An Amulet of Fury, Amulet of Glory, or even an Amulet of Magical supply for the Amulet slot. A Staff of Air, this is pretty good to use only because it saves you a lot of money as opposed to a Teacher or Master Wand. It can auto-cast blast spells, which is extremely helpful for this method, and it saves you an inventory slot in air runes. So for your robes, you're going to want to shoot for blue, black, or a Zamorak robe top, as well as a Zamorak robe bottom. A Book of Darkness is very helpful. You can get this by completing Horror from the Deep and the Dig Site. This will unlock the option to buy the Book of Darkness from Jozik and the Lighthouse. It costs about 400k or so to fill, and it gives you +10 mage bonus. However, if you don't have the money for that or don't feel like doing the Dig Site for it, then just using a Guthix book will work just as well. A Reagan bracelet is very helpful, but if you don't have that, Mithril or Adamant gloves, depending on your defense level, will work just as well. Wizard boots are the best that you can use as far as mage bonus for 1 defense, so I definitely recommend those. And a Seer's ring is very helpful for the mage bonus. However, if you don't have that, you can easily just use the Explorer Ring 1 from the Lumbridge/Drainer Easy Diaries. This gives you 2 recharges of 50% on energy twice per day, and it's very helpful for this method as we'll get into later. Now, depending on your prayer level, you can also use God vestment robes, such as the Guthix robe top, Guthix robe bottom, the cloak, and everything else that you can use. And if you have 20 or more defense, then Mystic and Enchanted robes will work just as well. Alright, so the inventory is rather simple for Nightmare Zone. You'll be using magic potions if you're anywhere below 59 mage, because you do need 59 mage to complete Family Crest. However, you can use a magic potion during the quest to boost up to that from 55. So if you're anywhere below 59 mage, you'll definitely want to bring magic potions. Stamina potions are extremely essential to this method because if you're familiar with Saradomin God Wars dungeon, where you attack Commander Ziliana, attack it and run away, and then keep doing that in a square formation. That's exactly what you're going to be doing in Nightmare Zone. So you'll want to keep your run energy with stamina potions high at almost all times. And the rest of your inventory can just be food, honestly, because you really don't need anything else specific for Nightmare Zone aside from 4 inventory slots empty for your death runes, earth runes, fire runes, and water runes. Combined with your Staff of Air, this is going to give you access to casting every single blast spell that you're going to need against the bosses in Nightmare Zone. So here we are at Nightmare Zone. When you get to Nightmare Zone, you want to make sure that you have money in your coffer because it takes about 20 something K each time you go on customizable rumble mode in order to enter the minigame. So what you want to do once you have money in there is you want to click Dream on Dominic Onion. You want to select Rumble, and then you want to select Customizable Heart if you have any unnecessary quests, such as Horror from the Deep or Shadow of the Storm done. This will just make it a lot easier. So you click that, he'll ask you if you're going to pay the money, you say yes, then you walk in here, and then you want to click Drink on the potion. Now this will bring you to the screen where it's going to show you exactly what you're going to be facing in Nightmare Zone, and for customizable you can click on and off which bosses you want. But like I said, for most Maulers you're going to want the bosses from Family Crest, Lost City, One Small Favor, Shiloh Village, and Witch's House, which are respectively Chronozon, Tree Spirit, Slagalith, Nazastral, and Witch's Experiment. You want to absolutely make sure that you have Chronozon in here because this is the boss that you're going to be focusing on primarily, as well as the one that spawns the runes for you. So once you make sure that everything's good and you have your primary 5 bosses here, you want to click Accept, you drink the potion, then you enter the portal. Now once you spawn here, you're going to stand here for about 5 seconds or so until another screen comes up telling you exactly what bosses you're going to be facing. After that, runes will spawn for you on the ground. Take about 300 of each because this will only be how many you can pick up anyway, and that's a very good thing. And then you stand here, and then you just wait for the bosses. 4 bosses spawn in your Nightmare Zone game at any one time, so don't expect any more than 4 of them to come out. Now once you have all your runes ready, auto-cast your best spell that you possibly can, and then you wait for them to appear. Like mine appeared right now. Try and take some evasive action here to avoid any damage that you can. And you just want to keep running from corner to corner and avoiding all the bosses. Now you see, for my wave I got 2 Chronozons. That's really good. That's an actually really good spawn. So at this point you want to pot your mage if you're anywhere below 59 mage. Take a sip of your stamina potion and then start firing out your blast spells at your Chronozon. So focus on one at a time so you don't get confused. It'll tell you if your blast spell is successful in the chat box here. So it'll tell you Chronozon weakens, you do your 3 other spells that you don't have auto-casted on the Chronozons, or if you only get one, just the Chronozon. And then you just gotta keep making sure that you're just running from space to space, corner to corner, the entire time. If the bosses look close and you don't think that you're going to be able to get a cast in before you run and that they might hit you, just don't even take the chance and just run, because you want to just make sure that you're taking as little damage as possible here, despite the fact that you have all the food in your inventory. You want to make this last as long as possible. So now that we've hit all the Chronozons with all of our other 3 blast spells that we're not auto-casting, you want to just go to auto-cast, get your spell ready, and just click the best one that you can for your mage level. And you want to just keep doing this, running around in a square formation the entire time. This can be a little click intensive, but once you get the hang of it, this method is actually relatively easy. When you get spawns like this where you have more than 1 Chronozon, the points that you get are just insanely good, and it just makes this entire experience worth it. You just keep going through here, going to corner until all your Chronozons are dead. Now, you want to make sure that you have Chronozon in your spawn, otherwise you'll have to do one of a couple things, which I'll get to in just a second when this wave is done. Alright, so you'll notice here that I killed 2 Chronozons, I got my points for them. Another one spawned, but just to save time and just to show you what it's like when you don't get one, you can do one of 2 things. Now, if you don't have a Chronozon, you can either just walk into the massive monsters and die and restart. This is the most efficient method, although it will cost you another 20-something K to re-enter. If you're feeling lucky and if you notice here, you'll see that there are power-ups that occur for you in Nightmare Zone itself that give you a little bit of help against the boss monsters. Most of these are useless to Obby Maulers, such as the Zapper and the Power Surge, but the one that is very useful in situations like this where you have a dead spawn, you just don't have any Chronozons and you can't kill any of them because it'd be a waste of mage XP, is Ultimate Force. Once you click on the Ultimate Force spawn, it'll actually reset the playing field to the point where every boss will die and you'll get 4 new, completely brand new spawns, which could include another Chronozon and could save you another 24k entering the arena. Now, I don't really recommend this method, but if you're the kind of person that really doesn't want to spend a lot of money on this method, I definitely recommend that, but otherwise it's much more efficient. It just saves a lot of your time just to simply just walk into all the monsters and just, for shits and giggles, just see how fast you can die, honestly. And then you just restart the wave, and then that's really all there is to it. Alright, so you'll notice that I exited Nightmare Zone now. It'll tell you how many points you earned in the round, and then it'll tell you how many points you have in total. So you want to go over here to the awards chest, and it'll tell you in total here too. What you want to shoot for, I'll show you as I unequip my ring here, is for a Berserker ring and any other ring like it, you're going to need 650,000 points. Now, the points you get on every Chronozon you kill actually depends on the amount of quest points you have. So for me at 121, that's a bit much for an Obby, but I get 4.6 to 4.7k points every single time I kill Chronozon. And that just adds up, and then your end goal is 650,000. Now, this seems like a lot, and to be honest, it is. It took me about 10 hours or so knowing what I was doing at Nightmare Zone, but I assure you, once you get into the hang of everything, it just gets really, really easy. You just have to make sure that you keep sticking to the method, running from corner to corner, and while it may seem a little bit extensive, it becomes very, very easy after a very short period of time. So one method that I actually can't go over with this account, but I think is very much so worth mentioning, is the method of having 43 plus prayer and then using protect from melee to fight all the bosses just regularly. What you want to use for this is similar gear setup, but you more so want to focus on having the best prayer bonus that you can. So for your hat, you want to focus on having either a God Mitary or a Halo. For your robe top and bottom, you just want to use vestment robe tops of any God, Gothic, Samarak, whatever. For your cape, you can either switch to a vestment cloak or you can just keep using your God cloak. For your boots, you can still use wizard boots or you can use holy sandals, which give +3 prayer bonus. You can keep using a Reagan, Mithril, and Adamant gloves for your glove slots, as well as a Fury, Glory, or Magic Amulet for your amulet slot. However, with the prayer bonus, an Amulet of Fury is optimal. You can just keep using an air staff, that'll work perfectly fine, and any prayer book that you can get, especially the Book of Darkness, is very helpful here, as well as for your ring slot, either using a Ring of the Gods or a Seer's Ring. This method is just a lot easier overall because all you really have to do is just put on Protect from melee and then just sit there and mage the bosses regularly without any Saradom and God Wars dungeon method. Your inventory will look basically the same. You just want to take some magic potions if you're below 59 mage, as well as just filling the rest of your inventory aside from 4 slots for your runes with as many prayer potions as you can. This will make your trips to my Nightmare Zone a lot easier and just save you a whole lot of time overall. Alright, well I hope this video helped you out a little bit. Thank you for watching very much. I'd like to thank Milk Bucket for being my emote and spam slave, 39s for pretty much being #1 Obby, and the entirety of Obby CC. It's a really great clan for Obbies, so if you ever see me or 39s walking around World 18 in Bounty Hunter or World 25 in PvP World, definitely let us know if you're an Obby who has 70 Strength and 55 Slayer and if you'd want to join our clan. It's a really great community, I definitely recommend it. Other than that, thank you for watching the video very much. I tried my best to make it, tried to get a really great guide for Obby Nightmare Zone out there, and if there's any other guides that you guys would want to see in the future, just let me know down in the comments below and I'd definitely be willing to work with it. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching and have a great day.